Today I'm shooting some expired and fresh Ektachrome 100 in a Crown Graphic 4x5 and Pentax 645. Let's check it out. I decided to hit the ground running and set up my Crown Graphic to shoot some newly acquired Kodak ready loads. Basically, ready loads or quick loads were 4x5 film encased in a paper envelope. I like the ready load system because it's much more compact, except for it's also a lot more wasteful, but that's another episode. Speaking of waste, I totally messed up something with these first two exposures. Stick around if you want to figure out with me what went awry. And yes, that has something to do with it.
Great.
In the meantime, there's the two fresh sheets of Ektachrome 100 and a roll of E100 and 120, and also I shoot a roll of Kodak Vision3 250D. I like using the edges of shadows like this for the dramatic effect. Little contrast, a little line, something to kind of give you a feeling of space and maybe of story. I like the somewhat suburban look of this fencing. The mural work was cool on the opposite wall, but I don't like to make art out of other people's art. See the mural in the last episode. Getting to shoot at proper sunset has been kind of rare for me lately, so I embraced the warm tones here and developed this film in the Cinestill warm tone developer they have for their E6 kit. Once again, I got some darker results than I'd like, but I'm working on it, and these turned out a lot better than they have in the past, so I think I'm closing in on what my problem is with it.
Awesome.
We'll see. I ran with the sunset backlighting, which probably also did not work best with the lens on the Crown Graphic, which is great, but it's older and not multi-coated. The coatings affect contrast and color rendition. So first, here are the Pentax 645 versions of the images, and I will go ahead and show you the two I did manage to get out of the Crown Graphic in this shoot. I shot them on standard 4x5, by the way, and you will see the immense amount of detail added, and these developed also very dark, I guess because of Cinestill stuff, I'm not sure, but I really love how they turned out even after all the trouble.
Small step back. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Take a big step toward me.
Shooting 4x5 can be a little tricky because you feel a lot of pressure to deliver on every shot. So you look at taking 4 to 10 photos during a session versus what you normally get out of 120 even when you use like a 10 or 12 shot roll of film. You usually shoot more than 1 or 2 of those rolls. And if you shoot 35, you get 36, of course. And on the Pentax 645, you get 16 frames. But I decide usually to shoot about 4 to 6 frames, or I bring 4 to 6 frames with me and shoot kind of by feeling. And I felt 50-50 about it at the time. I decided to shoot the rest of the session with the Pentax 645.
Okay, and then I guess just on the other side of that grass, right there, that's good. Perfect. Okay.
And when my film ran out, I was out of color 120.
That was the end of that roll, so
I shot 250D on my Nikon FG20. Now this place right here is across the train tracks from where we were shooting before in that picnic type area. This is just an old foundation from some long torn down house. And real quick, I'd like to thank my patrons listed here. If you'd like to contribute to this channel and help me make more content like this, go to the link and join up for as little as $1 a month. I thank you so much, and you help make this possible.
okay.
And again, I will note that we did not shoot on the railroad tracks. I expected to sell it right away, but I've really kind of fallen for the Nikon FG20 and the Pancake 50mm 1.8 I'm using here. It's really nice and sharp and has a good character and decent contrast, and it didn't flare too terribly when I was shooting nearly into the sun with this. I love a lot of Nikon lenses, and Nikon was a lot more on fire than it kind of currently is. And also I did run into, probably it's one limitation, but it's also a limitation shared with like Leicas and stuff, is that its maximum shutter speed is 1/1000th of a second. Now this could be solved with ND filters or just using a different camera that has a faster shutter speed so you can shoot more wide open. But as I discussed a while ago now, I kind of broken up with bokeh. I don't really care if I have to shoot wide open. I like doing it occasionally, especially when I want to get a little separation. But really it doesn't bother me to shoot at f4 or 5.6 or even 8. And most of these floated around the f4 and 2.8 zone because it was starting to get a little bit darker, especially in the shadows. But I really love the warm light coming in, and I absolutely love the Kodak Vision3 250D film. I shoot it around 160 ISO, but maybe some people say it should be 125, and there's probably not a lot of harm if you just shoot it at 250 ISO. But really I like 160. It kind of makes it a little more versatile. It kind of reminds me of working with Portra as far as it's kind of not super slow but also not a little fast. So there's a little wiggle room, and you can push and pull it quite a bit. I haven't tried pushing this too much because there's 500T, but for the beautiful daylight tones this renders, I really need to try that actually. I hear 50D is good for pushing as well, and I'm working on that too. But as far as having a nice kind of neutral but still punchy and saturated color film that isn't Portra, that still renders nice skin tones and really gives you a lot of variety on looks and color rendition, but is still fine grain, I really like having this as an option. The warm pastels of Portra are really nice, and Ektar is great for the landscape type things, but for the best of both worlds, the Vision 3 films do really well. Also, when you filter 500T, despite saying it looks normal when you filter 500T, it actually gets, with an orange filter I might add, it takes on a much warmer tone than what you would get out of 250D. So there's a trick for you. If you want warmer tones, just go ahead and put one of those orange filters, the 85B I think, something like that, on 500T or Cinestill 800T, and you're going to get warm non-blue pictures. It's going to be warmer than what you would get from 250D or 50D. Now the light was just too good to go ahead and call it a day because we had done a lot of work already, but I still had some film left in the camera, and we had this great train platform that I had used a little bit a few days before if you watched the previous vlog entry, but when I shot there I didn't have this beautiful sunset light. So it was a lot of fun to deal with these super soft tones and lighting, and you can see the pastel ability of this 250D coming out now, and also the rendering of that Nikon 50mm lens. I also shot a little 120 here, but I'm actually saving that for a future post this time. But you can see that the light just got warmer and warmer, although I was finally out of film at this point. So I feel like I was fairly accomplished. Shot through 3 different formats, actually 4 different formats. And one of the things I love about bulk rolling my film is those little half shots at the ends of rolls where the film loader exposes the light and you get this really artistic light leak look. Wow, I'll say that really fast. Anyway, if you like what you see, please subscribe and turn on notifications. And also, after some trial and error, I figured out that when I was lifting the outer envelope of the ready load to reveal the inner card with the film on it, I pulled the wrong tab on the top and basically just didn't reveal the film in the film holder the whole time. So I tried this out the other day, and here's my successful 2 negatives that prove that indeed this film works, and actually it looks pretty good, so I can't wait to actually put it to use. And I'll do that with Allie tomorrow. Sorry Allie, I didn't say your name till the end of the episode, but sorry. But click the video on the left to see my shoot in this location from last week, and click on right to see what YouTube thinks is the best match for your taste among my videos. Thanks. See you next week. Bye.